The two-party political system in the United States has long been a scam to keep the people voting for what is essentially the uniparty instead of the best candidate. The system thrives on fear and manipulation, forcing voters to choose between the lesser of two evils rather than who they really believe will best serve the nation. As the 2024 election draws near, this manipulation is clearer than ever. Many Democrats and Republicans like Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s platform, yet they plan to vote for either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump out of fear of quote-unquote wasting their vote and letting the other side win. This fear-based mindset is exactly what the uniparty leaders want to keep their grip on power. As an American, you are given the right to self-governance, where you can make your voice heard by voting your conscience, choosing the candidate who aligns with your values and vision for the country. But the two-party system, backed by powerful elites and their propaganda, has eroded this freedom. Voters are bombarded with fear-mongering messages about the dangers of the other side, creating a sense of urgency that overrides rational decision-making. This strategy is a deliberate ploy by the uniparty powers that be to keep voters trapped in a binary choice, ensuring their continued dominance. RFK Jr. offers a compelling alternative to the status quo. I believe that there are 5 primary issues that we must fix, and Kennedy lays out the best vision to properly deal with them. Illegal immigration, securing our elections, getting out of the forever wars, dismantling the rogue deep state intelligence agencies, and breaking apart the corporate capture of our federal government. Layer on top of that his strong stance on the environment, medical freedom, true market capitalism, and anti-corruption stance. His platform resonates with people across the political spectrum. Yet, many voters hesitate to support him because they've been brainwashed into thinking that voting for a third-party candidate is wasting their vote, despite the fact that he is rising in the polls. This belief is a result of the fear tactics used by the uniparty to maintain its control. Voting for the lesser of two evils is a self-fulfilling prophecy that keeps the cycle of mediocrity and corruption going. By giving into fear of wasting their vote, people ensure that the uniparty stays in power, prioritizing elite interests over those of ordinary Americans. It's time to break free from this cycle and vote your conscience. If everyone did this, Kennedy could very well become the next president of the United States. The 2024 election highlights the extreme polarization of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and the unifying vision of RFK. Harris and Trump, representing the Democrats and Republicans, are deepening this division in American society. Their campaigns are filled with personal attacks, inflammatory rhetoric, and a focus on wedge issues that tear the country apart and never allow for seeking common ground. Each sees the other side as the enemy. This approach undermines constructive dialogue and distracts from the real issues that matter to the American people. Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee selected by the party elite after Joe Biden was forced out, focuses on identity politics, extreme big government solutions to every problem, and is a war hawk that will continue to keep us in the forever wars. Her focus on extremely progressive issues often alienates potential allies and deepens societal divides. On the other hand, Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, uses his usual bombastic and divisive rhetoric, rallying his base with a combative stance against his enemies. His focus on cultural and economic nationalism appeals to many, but also alienates those that aren't in his die-hard MAGA base. In stark contrast, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. offers a vision of unity and common purpose. His platform is built on the belief that Americans, regardless of their political affiliations, share more in common than what divides them. Kennedy emphasizes addressing issues that resonate with everyone, like the corporate capture of the government, the rogue deep state intelligence agencies, illegal immigration, and cleaning up our environment. And on the controversial wedge issues, he tries to find balance by having a platform that focuses on what both sides agree on. By focusing on these shared concerns, he aims to bridge the gap between different groups and foster national solidarity. Kennedy's refusal to engage in the personality wars that dominate the campaigns of Harris and Trump sets him apart. His commitment to civil discourse and respectful dialogue is a refreshing change, offering voters a candidate who values integrity and decency. Kennedy's focus on environmental stewardship and public health resonates with voters who are increasingly worried about the planet's future and the well-being of future generations. The uniparty powers that be manipulate voters through fear, convincing voters that supporting a third-party candidate is a wasted vote. This tactic stifles our choice and keeps the uniparty in power, using fear to keep you from voting what you believe is right for this country and instead voting how they want you to. It's time for voters to break free from this propaganda and manipulation. By voting your conscience instead of succumbing to fear, you can reclaim your voice and pave the way for the unifying American spirit that made our country the greatest in the history of the world. RFK Jr. represents a viable alternative to the divisive and polarizing figures of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Additionally, he's barely even begun to truly campaign, given that virtually all of his campaign expenditures were on security and getting on all the ballots. Since he's coming in as high as 20% in the polls and just now truly launching his campaign after finally receiving Secret Service protection and qualifying to be on the ballots in all 50 states in a matter of weeks, the sky's the limit as to how high he can rise. When you think about it, he only has to get to the mid to high 30s to actually win the election. He's rising in the polls and becoming a legitimate challenger to both major parties and their respective candidates. It's time for voters to break free from fear and manipulation and vote their conscience. By doing so, you can ensure the best candidate, rather than the lesser of two evils, becomes the next president of the United States.